Hey guys, so it's been a while since I actually made my Magic video, but since then it has become the most viewed video on my channel, so I figured now that it's been a few months and I've actually had income and have upgraded my collection, I figured I'd show off my commander decks to you guys today. Just as kind of like a fun, you know, I guess just tour through what I've been doing, what I've been up to, just talk about stuff, and yeah, so let's just get to it. I did just get this one the other day. I haven't had a chance to really play it yet, but this is the Deep Clue Sea structure deck, or not structure deck, the Commander Precon from Markov Manor. So I did upgrade one or two things from it. Like I've added in, I think Rise and Shine is one card that I've added in from Modern Horizons. Modern Horizons 2. My big debate with this deck is whether or not to, I guess, scrap it at the moment. I'm also interested in making a Goose Mother deck, because I did pick up a copy of the Goose Mother the other day, and there are a lot of cards in here that could be used, A, for the Goose Mother, B, for my brother's draw deck, and C, for my Spellslinger deck. So I'm thinking of dissecting it, distributing those cards as needed, and then, you know, kind of slimming it down to like Simic Food. But for now, you know, I'm going to give it a couple of solid tries before I fully commit to that. Okay. Alright, so next up is Vampires. This is another one that's built from Precon. So it's definitely probably one of my more upgraded Precon based decks. I say that as we go by in Vampire Nighthawk, that it's in a Nighthawk Scavenger, but I got this at around the time that I was also opening packs for a while. I just kind of got on a pack opening streak, and I bought a lot of Crimson Vow and a lot of stuff like that. So like I have, you know, the Olivia and stuff like that I pulled. And there are some decent upgrades. I think I have, I don't want to say every Olivia because I feel like I'm missing one, and I definitely don't have the, you know, the Thunder Junction one in here if you count that. But I got Vito in here too. But this one is just a fun, like, make blood tokens deck. Cheat big vampires into play. It's just a very fun strategy. I give this one to newer players sometimes because there's just a lot of, like, it's fun to play big dudes in the field, you know? Yeah, there we go, Olivia Crimson Bride. But I feel like it is, I wouldn't say an intermediate level deck. I'd say it's a pretty easy deck to pilot compared to some of the other decks I have in here, and it's, you know, it's pretty powerful for what it wants to do and what it does. So yeah, the Precon was nice, although I feel like the Innistrad Precons were suited better to, like, you know, full on incorporating them with each other and just playing Innistrad 4-way matches. But still, they've aged pretty well. The Humans one, although it's maybe not the best deck, is a nice $20 deck for people to pick up online. It comes with Kyler, which is a really nice human commander, +1/+1 counter synergies. It's just a fun deck. I haven't had that much experience with the Spirits, but as you'll see, I also have the Zombie one fairly upgraded. But before that, I do have a couple of Warhammer decks. So I'm not a big, huge fan of Warhammer. I don't know the lore that deeply, but I do know that they're just a lot of fun. I love the aesthetic. I love the card design. It fits so perfectly into Magic. And these decks, when they came out and still today, are just so ridiculous, right? Like when you play the Fallout ones, they're pretty nice. Don't get me wrong, they're still great, but, like, you know, they're nothing, I feel, compared to these, compared to especially stuff like Necron Dynasties, where you just shit out a bunch of black creatures and, you know, you can't see your playmat anymore type stuff. This is the example of how to make a premium commander deck. It's just that good. Yeah, powerful out of the box. Not modified, but definitely something I like a lot. I also have the which one? The Marnius Calgar Inquisitor one, with the Space Marines, and this one is definitely a bit more strategic than just kind of the Necron Dynasty's shit stuff out on the field. You do make tokens, but I feel like from what I've played, it is definitely more of like a war of attrition type thing than it is just swarm out with a billion different things or throw bombs on the field. That being said, there are a lot of scary cards in that deck, and it's still very fun to play. In lore, it's fun to play with all four of the decks, like I said. But that's just the beautiful part of precons, is how well they're designed, not only for other formats, but against each other as well. It's just a lot of fun. So, into the big box. Let's see here. This is one that I kind of did make from scraps, but most of it is just cards from my own collection. Omnath is the most basic bitch commander deck you can think of. It's literally just spam lands, do stupid things. Not much to say here. Make a bunch of 4/4s, win the game, get board wiped, and kill all your opponents. It's so fun, so brainless. I've had to stop playing this against my friends because they just can't beat it. It's fair, Like, we're more of like a budget casual group, and throwing Omnath into the mix is kind of like, what the fuck are you doing? But, either way, this is probably the most completed deck I own. A lot of my decks are works in progress that upgrade when I have the budget to, or when I pull cards or anything like that. I'm not a big fan of ordering a ton of stuff from Card Kingdom or anything like that, but over time they'll get better. And Omnath is just one that's stuck with me forever. So let's see here, what's up next? Here we go. Alright. So this is another one that I've completed recently. It's in the Nahiri. This is one that I'm skeptical about. I have played this once and it got stomped pretty hard. The main goal is, of course, like stuff like commander damage, equipments are dumb, everything like that, all that stuff. But it just doesn't quite do what I want to do. There's some fun cards in here, but it's just not quite the speed I need it to be to actually win the game, I did pull this from a pack, which is really dumb. Literally one pack I got that and the Tiny Bones in the same pack. Fun story. But this is a deck that I'm still definitely in the early stages of me workshopping. It doesn't help that I don't have a lot of the good equipment that this deck needs, and that a lot of the good equipment that the deck needs are unfortunately higher priced. But I can make do with what I have. It's not that I've never done anything with this deck. It's just I can't consistently do things with this deck. There are games where I'm just sitting there doing nothing all game, and there are games where like I kill on like turn 2. So it's well, maybe not turn 2, but you get what I mean. I just go crazy and stomp the board. And I guess I'm still working on finding either a balance or a moderation between those, because I don't like not playing the game, but I also don't like when other people can't play the game. I like having more drawn out games. Right. This is a zombie deck from Innistrad. It is upgraded. I did mention this when I was talking about the vampires, but it's well held. This is another deck that I'm kind of confused about. See, with zombies, you imagine like just pooping at a bunch of 2/2s, which is fine. Stuff like Shepherd of Rot goes towards that plan, but this deck kind of seems like way too high on the curve for the ramp that's provided in it and the resources I have. it's just all the cards in it are so expensive compared to some of the other decks, which is fine, but I still got to figure out a way to get this deck to work, I guess, to click with me. That being said, it is a deck that I enjoy playing. I enjoy giving to other people and seeing their take on it. It's a great discussion piece. It's fun to play on the table. And although you do make enemies and you do have ridiculous cards, it's still, I feel, pretty fair to play against. Will Hell is just value on a stick. So, there you go. Alright. Probably the deck that I've been playing most frequently when it comes to playing Commander with my friend group is going to be Henzi. This is another precon that I bought and upgraded. And another precon that just comes with a bunch of really stupid, fun, random enchantments. Fun cards like that, Thragtusk. A lot of iconic big dudes. You could just cheat into play. You don't mind your stuff dying. It's just Jund doing Jund and resurrecting itself and getting value for no reason. Just, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I don't quite have a deck that, shits out big dudes as well as this one does. Even Omnath, because this deck can just, Omnath has 4/4s that when they die do stuff, which is fine, but like these guys, every single card I play is like shaking the table, people know they have to respond to me, and the thing is, no matter how hard they respond to me, it's never quite enough to finally like put the final nail in the coffin. It's hard. This deck is very hard to kill, is what I'm trying to say. Player removal is one thing, but like ultimately you need a plan, and that deck just doesn't care about your plans. It doesn't care about removal, it doesn't care about stuff like that. Everything's going to come back, everything's going to get cheaper. And it's just fun to have a deck where it allows room for your opponents to play the game and interact, but you're not dead on interaction, This is another fun deck that I've expanded from a precon. Shorkai Genesis Engine. Again, just another iconic white-blue commander, Azorius commander. Vehicles do things. Artifacts do things. Overall, it's just so much fun. I did end up upgrading this one quite a bit, although we're not seeing it in the front. Mech Titan Core is probably, I wouldn't say one of my favorite Magic cards, because there are just so many good Magic cards, but Mech Titan Core is just so flavorful, and it's so much fun to play in this deck. I just love assembling all my dudes and making a huge guy. Kind of the same reason that in like stuff like Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm a fan of Super Quantal, even though I'm not a big fan of like anything like Power Rangers or Voltron or anything like that. Like it's just cool in theory, and being able to assemble that for yourself and seeing your plan come to life over time and building this engine is just so fun. It's literally what you're doing. You're building a car and you're shooting it at your opponents. And also we get the cheese sleeves, which is awesome. So I can't be upset at that. Alright. Here we go. So this is another one that I've built over time. I've only recently got it to a playable form, but the thing is, once you cross the playable threshold with this deck, it just kind of never comes back. It's Sithis Harvest, and you just poop enchantments. You draw and gain advantage off of removal, which if you know anything about Magic is in itself ridiculous. I literally just play anything that says like exile a creature in this deck. Anything that draws a card off of you playing enchantments, anything like that. Leyline of Sanctity is dumb. Elspeth Conquers Death is dumb. You get to play all the good enchantments. You get to play all the enchantment reducers. You get to play all the enchantresses. You get to play all the buff spells. Your commander is an enchantress, which is especially dumb. This deck is just free wins. And I've come to the point where, again, like Omnath, this is one that I just don't play anymore, and I'm considering if I want to nerf it, Because, like, what's the point of having a deck if you just don't play it? You know, Hallowed Haunting is a really dumb card. You know, Yenna Redtooth Regent is a stupid one. It's very similar in principle to the Landfall deck, except less about making mana and more about drawing cards. Very stupid deck. If you're looking for a powerful deck for pennies, I wouldn't quite say pennies, but, you know, cheap, definitely go with Sithis. You don't need a lot of the big expensive cards I put in there, like Hallowed Haunting or anything like that. You can just put in, you know, Sigil of the Anti-Throne, or literally just any enchantment removal, and Sithis is already netting you so much. And it's dumb. Yeah. So let's see here. All right. Here we go. So it's another upgraded pre-con deck. It's Stella Lee wild card. I don't have the infinites. And when I first got this deck, I originally switched it out for Veyron Voice of Duality for the commander, but like I realized that this deck doesn't quite spell sling. Obviously the theme of the set for red blue is draw 2, but it just kind of stops there. So I had to add in a lot of the spell slinging, and I had to add in it was mainly the small spell slingers that I had to add in, so like Brainstorm, stuff like that. Essentials for the deck that just didn't come in it because that's not the central focus, or it would make it too powerful. Storm cards I added in here because obviously this deck isn't one that I've had a crazy amount of time to play and play test and all that stuff, but it's so simple. It does everything you would want from a Spellslinger deck out of the box, basically. It's just so easy for new players to play. It's literally just, if you have a card that you can play in your hand, play it, and you win the game because you're playing cards and you're doing things. Everything replaces itself, everything nets you advantage, some stuff destroys stuff, some stuff deals damage. It's just, it's beautiful when it all comes together. And you just have a 50-minute turn of stupidity, you know. Yeah. So let's see here. Next up. Alright, so next up is Mishra Eminent One. This is another sort of... I don't think I've changed this one yet. My rule with this one is that it has to be all old bordered, but I don't think I've gotten around to changing many things. The only thing I've really gotten is a Mishra's Bauble, and I'm like... It's a great card, don't get me wrong, but like it has other uses in other places, and yeah. My only real gripe with this deck, it's really powerful. You get to play a really strong artifacts and all that stuff, big creatures. My only complaint is that when I play it, I literally have to split my board in half between is an artifact and is not an artifact, because it doesn't differentiate if it's a colored artifact, which is really frustrating to deal with and explain to people, and always have to be like recounting your artifacts to make sure you didn't put stuff in the wrong place or all that. It's just it's a little bit frustrating, but this is one of the best decks, probably the best pre-con I've ever played. It's my favorite. And if I'm looking for just, you know, to sit down at a table, we all play pre-cons, and, you know, this is one of the better pre-cons, but like I said, I haven't changed it. So it does have that balance factor in it, that integrated Wizards production line balance of, you're not going to completely destroy everyone. You're going to be great, don't get me wrong, you're going to do cool stuff, but you're not going to win immediately, you know. And it's harder to blame me for making a strong deck when I didn't make the deck, so you got to give it that. This is another deck I haven't upgraded. It's the Fallout Dogmeat deck. Weird story about this one. When I ordered this, I originally was delivered the Caesar's Legion one, which was kind of a pain in the ass because I had to send it back, and Well, I didn't send it back. I basically decided that, fuck it, with the price of shipping and everything and having to pay it back and all that, it would just be so much of a fucking pain in the ass. I just didn't want to have to go through it, so I decided that I would sell it to one of my friends at a discount and then use that money to buy the dog meat deck instead of pre-ordering it, which I did, and thankfully I have it now. But that deck that I gave them was so misprinted. Everything was shifted up, everything was miscut. It was so funny to see them open it and show me all the cards that came out. And yeah, I also thought when I got the deck that the rust design that they had in the yellow was water damage. So that's kind of a thing. Not very funny, not just kind of a tidbit, but yeah, you know, this deck has bombs in it, and this deck is crazy fun. Everybody steals this deck when I play it, and by that I mean one person steals this deck whenever I bring out my box, and they're like, I want to play a different deck today. So, I haven't played it much, but I've seen it played, and I love Fallout and Dog Meat and all that shit, and the cards in that deck are such a blast from the past for me. So, last one we got here is, let's see. So this used to be a Pashlik Mons deck. It is now just Krenko, unfortunately. I'm thinking of changing it back to Pashlik Mons just because Krenko's stupid. But ultimately, goblins are going to do what goblins are going to do regardless. You know, I have worked on putting more removal in this, but I'm thinking of also making this a deck where I gotta find it when it comes in here, but of making this a deck with a custom commander if I get the chance. But here we go, Goblin Snowman. I just kind of keep this in here because it's a meme card that's really funny and it does nothing good. So you know I gotta put it in here. And then this deck still wins games because it's in here. And I fully believe that is the entire reason, and not, yeah. So a lot of these older cards I got from, I guess, a garage sale. Somebody picked some cards up from a garage sale and was like, hey, I heard you like Magic. And they gave them to me, which was very generous, and I'm very happy. But I just have a lot of old goblins, and I figured I'd make a goblin deck, and it's a lot of fun. Wins games, does cool things. A board full of stuff. Yeah, simple again. But that's my collection. Thank y'all for watching. I hope it was enjoyable, at least. I'll catch y'all on the later hour. See you later, dogs. Bye-byes.